There is a ghost haunting the WNBA, and right now, the league is doing everything in its power to make sure you don't see it. You've seen the clips. You've seen the viral missed calls. You've seen the players screaming about integrity in the press conferences. The common belief is that the WNBA just has a competency problem, that the referees are part-time, undertrained, and simply making mistakes because the game has gotten too fast for them. That is the safe narrative. That is the story the league wants you to believe, because the alternative is catastrophic. But if you layer the actual receipts, the salary cap math, the specific betting line movements from the playoffs, and the warnings from the only man who has ever been caught fixing NBA games, a much darker reality emerges. We aren't watching incompetence. We are watching a financial ecosystem that is perfectly engineered for corruption. In the next 12 minutes, we are going to answer 3 questions that the league office is terrified of. First, how exactly does a referee fix a game without changing the winner? Second, why is the WNBA's current pay structure creating the most dangerous gambling loophole in pro sports history? And third, what did the internal data from the finals reveal that has insiders claiming the Donaghy Protocol is already active? This isn't about blown whistles. It's about the money behind them. Here is the reality. The $16,000 problem. To understand the crime, you have to understand the motive. And in the WNBA, the motive is mathematically undeniable. Let's look at the numbers. Right now, the WNBA is exploding. Revenue is up, viewership is up, and most importantly, sports betting volume on the WNBA has skyrocketed over 500% in the last 2 seasons. We are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars flowing through sports books on everything from the money line to player props. Now, look at the people controlling that money. According to the current collective bargaining agreement and league data, a WNBA referee's salary is shocking. While NBA referees are making anywhere from $250,000 to over $550,000 a year with full-time benefits, WNBA referees are classified as part-time workers. Their base pay? It can be as low as $16,000 a season for newer officials, capping out around roughly $60,000 for veterans working a full slate. Do the math. You have a part-time employee, often working a second job to pay rent, who's suddenly the sole arbiter of a game with millions of dollars riding on the outcome. In the corporate world, this is called a security vulnerability. If you pay a bank guard minimum wage to watch a vault holding $1 billion, you aren't just being cheap. You are begging for an inside job. Insiders have been sounding the alarm on this quietly for months. In October 2025, The Guardian reported that voices inside the league were begging for the officiating issues to be fixed, citing integrity concerns. When a superstar like Napisa Collier sits at a podium during the finals and explicitly uses the word integrity, she isn't just complaining about a foul. She is using a specific legal buzzword that signals to the league, we know this isn't fair. But the league hasn't budged on the full-time referee model. Why? Because keeping costs low is the priority, and that decision has left the door wide open. The Donaghy Blueprint. So, how does it happen? How do you rig a game without anyone noticing? Most fans think fixing a game means making the loser win. That's the Hollywood version. That's too obvious. The real money, the smart money, is in the margins. Tim Donaghy, the disgraced NBA referee who went to federal prison for betting on games he officiated, didn't fix wins and losses. He fixed the spread and the total. Here is the mechanics of the Donaghy Protocol. Let's say the New York Liberty are favored to beat the Indiana Fever by 10 points. The under-over for the total score is set at 170. If you're a referee and you have money on the over, you don't need to call fake fouls on the final shot. You just need to call a tight game in the first quarter. You call 3 quick touch fouls on the defenders. What happens? 2 things. First, the defense gets scared. They stop playing aggressive defense because they don't want to foul out. That leads to easy layups. Second, you send players to the free throw line. The clock stops, but points go up. By the halftime, the score is inflated by maybe 6 or 8 points purely because of game management. The Liberty still win, the better team still holds the trophy, no one complains about the result, but the over hits and the gamblers cash out. Donaghy admitted this explicitly. He said, "I didn't have to do anything on the court to pick a winner. I could pick a winner 80% of the time just knowing what I knew." He used his knowledge of relationships, which refs hated which coaches, who would call a technical foul on a hothead, to predict the spread. Now, apply that to the WNBA. In the 2024 playoffs, we saw wild inconsistencies in how games were called from quarter to quarter. We saw games where the first half was a wrestling match with no whistles, and the second half was a parade to the free throw line. To the casual fan, that looks like bad reffing. To a sharp bettor, that looks like middling the spread. It looks like managing the number. And here is the terrifying part. The WNBA doesn't have the same sophisticated monitoring systems that the NBA installed post-Donaghy. The NBA has an entire department watching betting lines move in real time to alert refs if something looks fishy. The WNBA? They're still operating on a shoestring budget compared to their big brother. They're flying blind, and the Sharks are swimming. The receipts. Finals Game 5. Let's zoom in on the smoking gun. The 2024 WNBA Finals. Liberty versus the Lynx. Game 5. This was the most important game of the year. Winner takes all. The officiating in this game wasn't just bad, it was statistically anomalous. In the final seconds, a foul was called on Minnesota's Alana Smith against Bria Stewart. The Liberty were down. This call sent Stewart to the line to tie the game. The Lynx challenged the call. On the replay, it looked like clean defense. The contact was marginal at best. In a Game 5, specifically in the last minute, the unwritten rule of basketball is that you do not decide the championship on a whistle unless it's a felony assault. But the call stood. Stewart hit the free throws. The game went to overtime. The Liberty won. Now look at the aftermath. Cheryl Reeves, the Minnesota coach, didn't hold back. She said this shit was stolen from us. LeBron James, who knows a thing or two about officiating, tweeted instantly that the call was wrong. But look closer at the last 2-minute report issued by the league the next day. The league admitted to missed calls earlier in the sequence that disadvantaged Minnesota, specifically a missed travel on Stewart just seconds before the foul. Why does this matter? Because if that travel is called, the Liberty don't get the final possession. The spread doesn't matter. The game ends. But by missing the travel and calling the foul, the game extended. The total score went up due to overtime. If you had the over on Game 5, that missed travel call was the greatest thing that ever happened to you. It turned a low-scoring defensive struggle into an overtime payout. Was it incompetence? Maybe. But when incompetence consistently aligns with the most profitable outcome for Vegas sportsbooks, you have to ask questions. The cover-up. So why isn't this the biggest story on ESPN? Why is the league burying it? Because they're trapped. The WNBA is currently negotiating media rights deals that will value the league in the billions. They're expanding to new cities. They're finally profitable. If the league admits that their part-time, low-paid referee system is vulnerable to gambling influence, it destroys the product's credibility overnight. Sponsors like Nike and Google don't want to be associated with the fixed game. So the strategy is deny and fine. When Cheryl Reeves spoke out, fined. When players criticized the refs, fined. The league is using financial punishment to silence the people who are pointing out the cracks in the foundation. They are protecting the growth narrative at the expense of the game's integrity. But the math doesn't lie. You cannot have a league where the players are becoming millionaires, the betting handle is in the billions, and the people blowing the whistles are making $16,000 a year. That is not a sport. That is a crime scene waiting to be discovered. Conclusion. We promised you the truth about the expectations versus the reality. The expectation is that the WNBA will fix its officiating problem by simply training better. The reality is that they can't fix it until they pay for it. Until WNBA referees are full-time, high-paid professionals with nothing to gain from a side hustle, every single blown call is going to look suspicious. Tim Donaghy showed us the playbook 20 years ago. He showed us that the whistle is the most powerful instrument in sports, not because it controls the game, but because it controls the money. The WNBA has spilled the basketball. The question now is, are we going to clean it up, or are we just going to keep betting on the mess? If you want to understand the deep mechanics of how the NBA fixed its own referee crisis after 2007 and what the WNBA is secretly trying to copy right now, you need to click the playlist on your screen.
It's called Locker Room Confidential, and it's where we put the stories the league actually managed to kill. Click it now. I'll see you in there.